Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and apologies for the weird bad lighting, but I've literally just realized that the final round for the Goodreads Choice Awards opened today, which means that it's time to take a look at whether or not my predictions were correct. So I have everything kind of pulled up here, and we'll just go ahead and dive in. I haven't taken a look yet, so I'm excited to see if any of my predictions were correct, because I had zero confidence going into this. So let me pop us over to this view. I have already pulled up Goodreads, but I haven't clicked over yet because I wanted to do that here with all of you. And let's find out. So the first category we're going to look at is mystery thriller, because that's the first one in my little slideshow I made for myself to keep track of all of this. And I I'm feeling real good about this looking at it. Okay. So, let me make sure this is recording properly. I don't want to miss this because I think I got all of them correct. We got All the Colors of the Dark. If you see me turning my head, it's because it's on my other screen. So we have All the Colors of the Dark, The God of the Woods, Home is Where the Bodies Are, The Teacher, We Solve Murders, The Midnight Feast, First Lie Wins, Listen for the Lie, How to Solve Your Own Murder, and The Boyfriend. Okay, I only got one wrong this time, and I'm really interested to see that it's the Riley Sager that is wrong. I'm really surprised, but you know what? I haven't seen great reviews of this, so I guess that makes sense. So, How to Solve Your Own Murder has supplanted Middle of the Night on this list. But, given that I have read none of these, I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that we have a 9 out of 10 success rate for this first category. I'm also really shocked. Pulling this up, I immediately was like, okay, it looks the same. But yeah, okay. I'm just surprised that Riley Sager's not on here. I think even when his books aren't anyone's favorite, like Survive the Night, I think that one made it into the top 10 a few years ago. Maybe I'm misremembering that. But I'm just surprised that he's not up there, because I think in terms of name recognition, he's got a lot of that. So yeah, that's surprising to me. I do know that I've seen How to Solve Your Own Murder around a lot, so I'm not surprised that that's the one that's replaced it. However, I haven't seen a lot of good reviews for that one either. So that's a curious thing. Was that in a book box, or was there a book club version or something? Because I think I've seen this a lot this year. Oh, Jimmy Fallon's book club finalist. Okay. Oh, and it was an instant national bestseller, a GMA Buzz pick, and a top 10 best book of April from Amazon. Okay, so clearly this book had a lot more recognition than I was aware of. So that explains why it managed to get on this list instead of Riley Sager. But yeah, that's a pretty good success on our first category. So let me pull up which one's next. Okay, so next we're going to be looking at fantasy. And again, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Some of these are definitely wrong. I think I got 8 maybe. So we have The Tainted Cup, Empire of the Damned, Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, The Blackbird Oracle, The Lost Story, The Book of Doors, The Familiar, Five Broken Blades, which I had not guessed, The Foxwife, which I had not guessed, and Somewhere Beyond the Sea. So I only got 2 wrong on this category. What didn't make it? So The Sorceress Comes to Call didn't make it, and that was a little bit wishful thinking on my part anyway. I love T. Kingfisher, even though I haven't read any of her fantasy, but I always want her to win when I see her what books in the Goodreads Choice. What was the other one that didn't make it through? Is it The Warm Hands of Ghosts? It is. Okay. So the Catherine Arden book didn't make it through, which is interesting because I think of her as being a fairly popular author in fantasy. But maybe it was just that people didn't like this particular one, because I don't think I've seen a lot of reviews. I think this and The Familiar were both kind of gothic entries by Leigh Bardugo and Catherine Arden, which are not necessarily what people are expecting from them. And I wonder if it's just that that one didn't get great reviews from Catherine Arden's fans. I'm not sure. I haven't seen a lot of people read it. I've heard a lot of people talking about it earlier in the year, but I haven't seen a lot of people read it. I am curious that Five Broken Blades is one of the ones that made it through instead, because I haven't seen a single positive review of this book. I've heard that it has some editing issues, so it's curious to me that that made it through, although maybe it's just that, like, it's had more recognition than I thought. 22,000 ratings, so there is that. And then The Fox Wife, I don't know what to say about this one other than I have not heard of it. I have heard of this author before. I think she had a book called like The Ghost Bride or something a few years ago, but I haven't heard of like this particular book, so I know nothing about it. I have no understanding of how people are feeling about that book. Although it does have a 4.01, so people must be liking it. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm surprised that Catherine Arden didn't make it through, but still feeling pretty good about an 8 out of 10, given that I had zero confidence when I was making these predictions. So we'll hop on over. We won't take too long. We'll hop on straight into sci fi. And I think on first glance, I've done better than I thought here, too. Okay, better luck here than I would have guessed as well. So, our top 10 are Orbital by Samantha Harvey, Moon of the Turning Leaves, The Other Valley, The Ministry of Time, The Family Experiment, Extinction, The Mercy of the Gods, The Stardust Grail, I Cheerfully Refuse, and Annibot. And I got two of them wrong. And so again, an 8 out of 10. Delightful. The two that I'd guessed that didn't make it were Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky and Beautyland by an author who, once again, I can't read their name because it's in cursive on the cover. But yeah, so Service Model and Beautyland didn't make it. The Stardust Grail did, which I'm actually delighted about because I keep hearing great reviews of that, and it didn't have as many ratings, I think, when I looked at it. So yeah, it's only got like 3,000, it's not even got 3,500 ratings, so it's got a lot fewer ratings than some of these other books. So I'm actually delighted that that's made it through, and I've heard some fantastic reviews of it, and it sounds wonderful. It's like an anti-colonial heist story. I really want to read this one. I'm just delighted that that made it through. I'm so excited. And what was the other one? Orbital. I don't know anything about this, but I feel like the name Samantha Harvey is familiar. I might be wrong on that. I think I may have said this during the predictions video too, and I maybe looked and was wrong about that. The cover is really pretty, and I know nothing else about it, so interesting. It's got some more ratings than some of these other ones. Not The Mystery of Time, that's got 72,000 ratings. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of people. Um, but yeah, so it's kind of in the same ratings range as some of these other books. Moon of the Turning Leaves also had like fairly low ratings in comparison, or like low number of ratings, not actual 4.26. Not that people are not liking it, but that it has not as many people have read it. But yeah, so two wrong. Not bad at all. I'm pretty happy with that. And I don't think I have anything else really to say on the science fiction section, just because there was so little that I know about most of these books. So we will go ahead and move on to our final category, which is horror. And this is the one that I was the most confident on. So I'm really curious to see how this has turned out since I had the highest confidence for this category, but I've done well on the other ones despite very low confidence. So let's see how I did in horror. Did I do worse on this one than any of the other? Maybe not. Hang on. Incidents Around the House. Sleep Tight, which I did not guess. Bury Your Gaze made it through, which I did not guess, but I am excited to see that one made it through because it sounds really cool. Diavola, I guessed. Murder Road. The Eyes Are the Best Part. We Used to Live Here. I Was a Teenage Slasher made it through instead of The Angel of Indian Lake. You Like It Darker, which I had guessed, and What Feast at Night, which I had guessed. So I think this is my lowest. This is my lowest accuracy. I got 7 out of 10 correct here. I'm gonna mark this on my little presentation I made myself real quick. Yeah, so it wasn't that one, and then it wasn't that one. So the three that I had guessed that didn't make it through were The Angel of Indian Lake, A Sunny Place for Shady People, and So Thirsty. But instead we got Sleep Tight, Bury Your Gaze, and I Was a Teenage Slasher. So I knew one of the Stephen Graham Jones books would make it through. I thought it'd be The Angel of Indian Lake just because I'd seen more mixed reviews for I Was a Teenage Slasher, but it does make sense because I Was a Teenage Slasher is a standalone and The Angel of Indian Lake is a series ender. It's the end of a trilogy. So probably there's fewer people overall who have actually gotten to Angel of Indian Lake. So I am not like entirely surprised by that. I just kind of guessed only because of the popularity of that series. The other two, I'm interested that the Mariana Enriquez book didn't go through to the top 10 just because the popularity of their previous book, Our Share of Night. I saw that one everywhere last year, so that was interesting. And then Rachel Harrison, So Thirsty, that was another one that was just kind of a guess because I wasn't sure. So I'm not, again, entirely surprised that that one didn't make it through. But I am delighted to see that Barrier Gaze made it through because I've heard great things about Chuck Tingle's horror writing, and I've been really wanting to pick this one up. So extra motivation for me to do so. And Sleep Tight. I know nothing about it, but it got through, so good for it. I've not seen anything about this book at all. Although now that I'm reading the little description, it sounds very interesting to me because it's about a serial killer. So that one might want to read. Just gonna open that in a new tab. So yeah, that's really interesting to me that in fact the category that I felt the weakest on is actually, or sorry, the category I felt the strongest on is what I meant, is my worst category in terms of my accuracy. That's really interesting to me. I am delighted that I have done as well this year as I have, just because usually I go into this feeling like I have a sense of at least some of the nominees in each category, and I'm basing it more on what I've actually heard people say about the books, whereas this year I feel like I was basing it on other factors. So it's interesting to me that like those two different strategies have worked out well for me because I've done well on this on previous years. I tend to reach like 7 to 8 out of 10 accuracy on most categories, which is really fun. This is why I enjoy doing it each year. I think it'd be interesting if I have a year where I completely get it wrong. I think that that would be a really interesting counterpoint to have. But yeah, I'm really delighted that this went as well as it did. I had zero confidence. I was fully anticipating today that I was going to open this and it was going to be like, you have none of these correct. You have 2 out of 10. Um, Obviously, that's not what happened, and I'm excited. But yeah, it's interesting to see what's actually made it through. I feel like, again, horror is the one that I know the most about. So even though I got the most wrong on that, I'm more familiar with these top 10 than any of the other categories, and especially science fiction. The sci fi category, I had heard of like 2 or 3 of the 20 nominees, or like, I guess not so much heard of, but like knew more about them just than just the title. Like I had heard beyond just a passing mention of those books. So sci-fi was really, I think, the one I felt the most at odds with this year, but I still did fine. So yeah, I don't know what else to say at this point. I was just curious to see how this was going to turn out. That's always kind of the point of this every year, is I just am curious to know if I can guess and have a greater than chance accuracy. And so far, every year I have, again, I'm really curious to see if I have a year where I don't succeed at that rate. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today. I know this one was pretty short and sweet, but hopefully it was fun just to look at what made it into the top 10. And yeah, I'm probably going to do this again next year. Let me know down in the comments below if there are any books that you think should have made it in the top 10 that didn't, or if there's anything in the top 10 that you're particularly excited made it through. And I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. Currently posting on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.